So just a little bit of history on the Wranglers. When they came out originally, they were the replacement for the CJ5 and CJ7s. 5 was first and then the 7. One of the bad raps that the Jeeps got was that they tended to roll over. He had a bunch of people that were lifting them up, and kids were driving them and, you know, going too fast, and they'd flip the thing over. So one of the things that they did with the YJs differently when they came out with it on their design is they lowered the truck down a little bit. Thus the reason that we're having to put a lift kit on it. How awesome. But they also made the front springs wider. You can see that they're a little bit wider. And they put a track bar on it that goes across that was supposed to make the axle to keep it from flexing as much. Anybody that goes off-roading wants to take this thing off because it's just really kind of you can kind of see the end of it there, and it goes from one half of the axle across. We're going to be removing those because they're not a needed part. They weren't on my CJ. They're not going to be on this one. But one of the things that you need to remember is when you remove that, and the purpose of them putting it on was really to take up for if there was any wear in the front suspension. So on this truck, what we're going to be doing is replacing the ball joints, the upper and the lower, and most of the steering components. You can see that they look like they're worn. I'm going to have to get some new bushings. You can tell that those are just shot. New springs will be going on with the lift kit. One of the things with the YJs, because of something called death wobble, you can read about that on the internet, you do need to make sure that the front end parts that you have on there, your ball joints, your tie rod ends, all those things are in really good shape, and that usually eliminates it. When you take off that track bar, you'll get more articulation out of your axles, but also as long as your front end parts are in good shape, then you don't have to worry about that death wobble thing. So we're going to be removing that. The back one, we'll get in there and look at that. It actually has broken off one side because evidently when somebody went four-wheeling, it pushed it a little too far than what it's supposed to be, and that was pretty common with those. It would tear off one of the mounts on those things. So we're getting rid of that. And we'll be replacing this, and then we need to look at that axle seal. It's messed up. Tie rods are going to be replaced. Ball joints will be replaced. So we'll be doing that. Alrighty, so we got to pull off the front end parts. So I decided to buy a front end service tool set, and it was like $60 with shipping. And I just got that in because, you know what? As Jerry says, you can't have too many tools. Oh, and it's made in China. How beautiful is that? You can go to like AutoZone, places like that, to way cool, to loan the tools out if you want. But there's a couple different sizes, and I didn't feel like messing with going there, so I went ahead and bought this for $60, man. We'll see if it holds up. One of the things you have to do probably when you're using this is not just rely on the tool to crank down on something. You very possibly might have to put a little heat to it to get things to come loose. But that's pretty cool. Front end service tool kit for $60. So we'll be using that to take the pitman arm off and some of the other front end components. Love it. So I'm going through the instructions here, and it's a 4-inch leaf kit, blah blah blah. And the first page is basically warning, 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 do not combine suspension lift, wear eye protection, larger tires reduce the effectiveness of the braking system, all just stuff to keep them from getting sued. Now the second page is going to be installation worksheet, which they're wanting the height measurements and everything, so that's kind of cool. You may want to get, we're going to do that. Okay, the third page is basically blah blah blah, park it on the thing, yakety schmackety, torque specifications. Okay, tighten it super tight. So then we get, and then the fourth page is when we actually start the installation. So that's where we'll be starting a lot of it. But I am going to do the height information just for reference. That'd be kind of cool. Now, so the next thing I'm going to have to do with my Jeep is to get the front wheels that I bought my new Chinese tires, and I need to get those put on so I can get it flat on a flat spot to do the measurements. I just need to roll it back, get it started and roll it back. So that'll be the first thing that I do. Alright, all the tires and wheels are back on. Now I just got to get the stupid thing started. And it's been sitting here for a while, so it's been a little obstinate. So she's running pretty good. I redid the intake manifolds, redid the injectors. Running pretty smooth. So now I just have to back it up. And we'll do some measurements on the fender wells. I gotta get a steering wheel to put on it. There's no steering wheel. Let me grab one of those real quick. And yeah, she's running good though. Hadn't been started in about 3 months. So that's a pretty good sign. Yeah, so I'm driving it. Yeah. Oh. Okay, so I'm looking at the instructions and it's saying that we need to measure. Got the Jeep started and moved out. There she is. Alright, so I'm just going to measure at the front corner because I really don't care that much. And I'm going to try to put it back in about the same spot when I do it again, but it looks like right at... So I'm going to measure right at the front corner. Looks like right at 29 inches. Let me write down 29 inches. And then here's my new fender. This one's showing 28, we'll just say 28 and a half. Now of course, the driveway's not completely level, so, but we're not going to stress out over that. Let's measure the back one. I'm just going to measure from the seam down, 22 and a half. This one's like 22 and 3/4. Alright, so even though it was cold, I was pretty happy about being able to get out in the driveway and get some work done, get it started up. That was awesome. I actually drove it down to my buddy's house down the street and I froze almost to death. There's no windshield in it. I couldn't get over 20, or I think I would have gotten like hypothermia or something. But anyway, hopefully tomorrow it's going to be warmed up a little bit and we'll be able to get started on taking the track bars off and pitman arm and maybe starting on taking one of the sides off. It's David from Redneck Garage. Moving on.